Hi everyone, Mia here from Resonance Astrology and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, hi, welcome to my channel. I'm a Western tropical astrology. I mainly focus on traditional, ancient Hellenistic astrology, but I do also blend and mix in with a bit of modern astrology as well. And today I want to take a look at the signs of Aries and Pisces because they are most definitely super highlighted this year, especially this spring. And if you have any planets at the last 10 degrees of Pisces or first 10 degrees of Aries, definitely watch this video. But this is also going to be a big highlight if you have any sort of planets at the last 10 degrees of any other mutable signs, meaning Sagittarius or Gemini or Virgo. And it's also going to be super prominent if you have any planets at the first 10 degrees of other cardinal signs, meaning Cancer or Capricorn or Libra, because these signs will form either oppositions or squares. If you have any sort of water placements at the last 10 degrees of Pisces, meaning any sort of planets in Scorpio or Cancer, this is going to form a trine, so it might be uplifting and beneficial. And if you have any sort of placements at the first 10 degrees of Aries or the other fire signs, this is also going to form a trine. So Leo and Sagittarius, it's going to be a bit like beneficial because usually trines are much more encouraging, okay, and squares and oppositions are usually more difficult. But regardless, you should watch this video anyways because this is gonna influence all of our lives, and it's starting today. And the reason why it started today is because Venus entered her pre-shadow period. And now to explain what a pre-shadow period is, Venus is gonna go retrograde beginning of March 2nd, she will station retrograde. She will also move into Aries by then. She will actually move into Aries next week. And then when she stations retrograde at the beginning of March, she will move backwards, and then eventually she will turn direct again or station direct again. And the degree that she stations direct again, which will be on April 13th, are the degrees which we have entered today. So Venus entered the 24 degrees of Pisces today, and this will be the same degrees where she will station retrograde further on in April. And she will station retrograde at 10 degrees of Aries. That's why also the first 10 degrees of Aries are super prominent. But Venus is not the only planet that is highlighting this area in our charts and in the sky. We have Mercury that is also going to do its retrograde thing in March. And Mercury will also switch back and forth between the signs of Aries and Pisces. We have Saturn that will enter Aries this year and move retrograde back into Pisces. We have Neptune that will move into Aries this year and station retrograde back into the sign of Pisces. So as you can see by the planetary notions and transits, Pisces and Aries are pretty much highlighted this year. And I think Pisces and Aries as signs are quite different. They carry very different energies with them as archetypes. And I think there's going to be a big back and forth because, again, it's in 2025, they haven't fully moved yet into the other signs. I mean, Venus and Mercury will have, right? But Saturn and Neptune are monumental shifts because Saturn stays in a sign for around 2.5 years and Neptune stays in a sign for around 14 years. So there's a prolonged shift that's happening, and it's only really in 2026 that they move into the sign of Aries and move on further along enough so when they station retrograde, which happens always every year, but that they will not move back into Pisces. So this year, there's still a bit of it's a shifting year, that's what I tell people. And I think we will, instead of already feeling everything new that's going to happen, it's more that we're going to feel the absence of the planets in their previous signs that's going to happen. Because, for example, now we have gotten pretty much used to the energy of Saturn in Pisces and especially Neptune in Pisces, because Neptune has been in Pisces for a long time now, like 13 years, since 2012 for sure. And Saturn has been in Pisces since around 2023. So often when planets are in a sign for a long period of time, we got used to it. We don't remember what it felt like when the initial ingress happened. And then now, once they're gonna ingress into another sign, it's more likely that we will feel the absence of what Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces have felt like, instead of immediately knowing what Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries will actually do, and which story arcs they will unfold in our lives. So it's really a year of shifting, first and foremost. And the Aries Pisces, I wouldn't really call it axis since they're right next to each other. But it's very interesting because I know it's a bit of an overused word, but it does really feel like death and rebirth to me in some sort of way, because here in this hemisphere, Pisces and Aries coincide between the switching of the spring equinox, right? Aries is the sign of the spring equinox. So we leave the winter behind and we start something new. And Aries really symbolizes that new spark that nature also brings forth when the sprouts start to bloom and to blossom and nature starts to awaken. And Pisces is still more, because it's the last sign of winter, so to say, it still is much more linked to the realm of the imaginal and wishful thinking and creating worlds in our imagination. And Aries is like, okay, but what do we do about it now? Let's get into action. Let's actually do something tangible with it. So I think there's going to be a big back and forth between imagining things and starting to do things. We will also have the last Aries solar eclipse this March, and it's going to be at 9 degrees of Aries. So even the eclipse is right in the degrees range that is being highlighted. So I do think there's a big push and pull energy between Aries and Pisces this year. And since Venus and Mercury, Saturn and Neptune are at play, I think all these planets will have a lot to do with creating a better foundation for, putting our imagination into the tangible physical realm. It's really about co-creating something wonderful between having the idea first in our heads and then executing it into reality. And it all starts here, right? It all starts with an idea, because if you can't imagine it, you won't really be able to execute it. So Venus has a lot to do with our relationships. We might reconsider which people we have around us, which connections are fruitful and which connections maybe need to die out, and we need to distance ourselves because we want to create a good base, because the people around us are so important. They're really going to make or break our foundations, or can make or break our foundations. So be very aware of which people you invite into your life this year, because this year of world building and the next few years of world building are going to be extremely potent, and you want to have the right people along your side, okay, for this chapter that is coming. Mercury has obviously a lot to do with our thoughts and our thinking. So again, pretty much highlighting the idea that are first created in our heads and then how to execute it in real life. Saturn, again, has a lot to do with our base and taking responsibility. There's a whole video I'm going to make of Saturn and Aries, because Saturn and Aries is in its fall. It's not really the best sign for Saturn to go through, but it's an interesting combination with Neptune, because it's really making Saturn even more real, or maybe Saturn is influencing Neptune, maybe that's the correct way to say, to be even more grounded and realistic. And it's already been happening like the last maybe 1.5, 2 years, because they have already kind of been in a even closer and closer engagement range. And it's not really until 2026 until they will actually have the conjunction, when they will actually come together at 0 degrees of Aries. 2026. It's just going to continue. I think what both Saturn and Neptune are trying to do here is making us be very real and realistic about what it takes for our cool ideas, what does it actually take to bring them to fruition? And that can be harsh, Saturn and Neptune together can be harsh. I think that's also what led to a lot of people really questioning their beliefs. I don't know how you guys felt, but I remember life felt so much more magical in like 2019, 2018, 2017. But heck, even in like 2020 and 2021, my beliefs were still pretty strong. And I feel like gradually everything has been a lot less magical, and I have just been a lot more realistic about things. And I'm not saying either one is better or worse. I think we need a bit of both. But I do think the gift or the beauty of what Saturn and Neptune can bring us is to just be very grounded and realistic. Like at its best, it's grounded spirituality, okay? What they bring together about what we need to do. Because I know the realm of astrology can sometimes be very out there, and especially with what everybody is saying about this year, I know it can be a lot. So I hope I'm not just like contributing to it, so to say. I definitely don't want to make you feel like everything is doom and gloom, because I feel like there's two sides, right? Like it's either people are talking about ascension, how we need to, people have been saying this about astrology for the last, I don't know how many years, to be real with you. And then there's the doom and gloom, and that's also like, people have been doom and gloom about astrology since every year, okay? The only thing that never changes is that everything stays the same. And yes, this year is monumental. Like, I can't ignore that. The fact that the outer planets are changing is crazy, so to say, all of them at once. I don't think that should make us scared. If anything, it should make us feel enthusiastic, or it should make us feel equally excited and terrified at the same time. I think maybe that's the best place to be in. But to get back to the initial thing that I was talking about, because I don't really want to make this video too all over the place. It is a bit all over the place because there's no... I'm filming this pretty spontaneously. I don't have a script or anything I'm going off with. But one of the issues I had with astrology for a while, and when I had a bit of a falling out with astrology, was when it started to be so impractical. And I think that's a lot of the astrology that is just talking about evolving, or doom and gloom can be. It can feel super impractical because it's like, okay, but what do I do with this information? Do I sit and meditate? Do I just, completely block myself because of my fears? Because if astrology is blocking you so much to either do what needs to be done because you're waiting for something to happen, or you feel like it doesn't matter because it's just going to be so crazy and you're so fearful to even make the next step, like that's not the reason. That's not the purpose of astrology. It shouldn't be that way. If anything, I believe we're all here for a reason to go through this right now, to these shifts and changes. And it's like, okay, let's be practical about it. And I do think Saturn and Neptune will be very practical about it and will really make us face the obstacles that we need to face. Because Aries, is ruled by Mars, which is a warrior planet. And it has a lot to do with courage and choosing our battles wisely. And this is also one of the reasons why Saturn has its fall in Aries, because Aries likes to do everything now and quick and and it doesn't really see the long term so much. But now that Saturn will enter Aries, we're really going to see the long term effects of the choices that we've made. And for many people, that is not an easy thing to do when they have to face the consequences of their actions. And then, they're going to call it karma or whatever. And karma just literally means reaction to action, Like, it's not that deep. It's just like, but you need to be responsible for the reactions to your actions, okay? So what Saturn and Neptune will do is force us to take responsibility for our lives and creating our lives. Because in Pisces, we're still imagining. And imagination is great. Imagination is perfect. And I think a lot of that goes back to the Jupiter in Pisces times, which was around 2022 and also beginning of 2023. Before then, Jupiter moved into Aries. And we have already gone through a few of these shifts, so it's nothing new. But I think everything that has been going on around this time is now finally able to be realized. So if you've been holding yourself back because you have just been thinking about doing things but not actually doing that, now is the time. And if you're not gonna do it, rest assured, Saturn is gonna kick your ass. But you're not allowed to be mad about Saturn, okay? You're not allowed to be mad about Saturn kicking your ass to actually take responsibility, because that's what we need to be doing. We need to be taking individual responsibility. It's really be the change you wish to see type of situation, and not feeling like the victim of our circumstance, okay? There's a quote, I don't know who said it, but it's like, you're never really a victim of your circumstance. You're only ever a victim of your own inability to overcome it. And by that, I mean, Venus. It's your responsibility which people you have around in your life, which people you surround yourself with, which organizations you surround yourself with. Okay? It's your responsibility who you pick. And it's your responsibility to get out of relationships if you don't want to be in them anymore, if they're not fruitful to you. Mercury. It's your responsibility of what type of media you consume, or what books you read, or what conversations you have. Because it's not just food that is feeding us, so to say. It's everything we're consuming. So be aware of what you're consuming, because it can really make or break you. And if you're constantly doom and gloom and doom scrolling or whatever, it's not going to be beneficial. And it is your choice to a certain degree. Whatever the algorithms say, you have a responsibility in how you curate your social media, because you can choose which people to follow, you can choose which books to read, you can choose which news to engage. That is your responsibility, okay? And this is what the highlight of Pisces and Aries will be this year. Okay, so be prepared. Be prepared. And with this, I think I'm going to sign off, because otherwise it's going to be a bit too all over the place, and I don't want that. But that's just what has been going on in my mind, and it's starting today, so I just wanted to get it out, okay? Because it feels timely for people to hear that. So if you've enjoyed this, if it has been helpful, all my links are down below if you want to connect with me. I'm pretty active on Instagram. I'm also pretty active on Reddit, so I always link it down below as well. And I have a super cool podcast that is always going on. I'm still going through the house series. The 9th house is going to come out soon. Super exciting. There's also going to be a workshop on the 8th house, by the way. So make sure to follow me on Instagram to find out all the information, because I'm going to reveal it all soon. And tell me your thoughts. Do you have any planets around these degrees? It's hitting my sun and ascendant. So I'm in the club with you guys, okay? It's doing things in my chart as well, and it's super prominent. So yeah, let me know what is going on in your lives, and if you have perhaps already started feeling some sort of changes. I mean, it is kind of starting today, so yeah. But if there's anything that is happening today, be sure to be aware that it is part of your story arc, and a larger story arc of what is going on this year. So I'm going to leave you with that. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week ahead, and I'm going to see you soon. Bye.